We're heading into the holiday season, and if you're someone who sews, knits, or makes any kind of handmade items, this can be a really fun time to use your skills to make things for the people you care about. But it's important when making things for other people, not just to make the things we want to make, but to take into consideration the other person's taste, color preferences, and style. An easy way to figure out what to make for someone is to simply ask them, what do they want? What do they need? What colors do they gravitate towards? Then you can make sure that this thing that you're going to be putting so much time and thought into is something that the other person is actually going to value and incorporate into their life. I've got 20 ideas to share with you that I think would make the best handmade gifts. A lot of them are fast, easy to sew, and suitable for beginners, but they can also be made more complex and more personalized depending on how much time you want to put into them. The links to patterns and tutorials for all of these projects can be found in the description of this video. First up is this tool roll. This is a really useful and practical gift for the crafters in your life. You can customize the size of the pockets to fit different things like knitting needles, crochet hooks, or even paintbrushes. If you know someone who likes to write a lot of things by hand, you could make one to hold pens, or if you're gifting for someone who likes to draw, you could make one to hold a set of pencils. There are lots of opportunities to make this a very thoughtful gift, and you could also include items in the pockets if you wanted to, say, gift somebody a set of knitting needles or a set of crochet hooks or something like that. Along similar lines, if you know someone who's into jewelry, you could make them a jewelry roll. These are great for traveling. They help keep your items safe, organized, and in a place that you can easily find them. You could also include a piece of jewelry in the roll to make it extra special. Stuffed animals are a great option for kids. They're also a lot of fun to make. If you wanted to add some extra personalization, you could even make little outfits for the stuffed animals. Items for the kitchen are great because they're practical and useful. And I've got a bunch of kitchen sewing projects to share, starting with these oven mitts. When choosing fabric, you can think about the style and decor of the person's kitchen and try to make something that will fit in. You could even make other kitchen items in matching fabric and bundle them all together as a set. Next, we have pot holders. This is a simple sewing project, and it's something that's always useful to have around. Another kitchen item that you can have a lot of fun with is placemats. These could be very simple if you just use one piece of fabric for the top and bottom layers, or you could make it more interesting by using a quilted design. It's a great opportunity to practice your quilting skills on a small scale. You could also make a quilted table runner. Again, make sure that your fabric choice is something the recipient would like. You might also want to take a measurement of their table to make sure you're getting the size right. If you wanted to do a smaller quilted project, you could go with coasters. This is a great way to use up fabric scraps, and I actually made a video tutorial for how to make these, so I'll leave the link in the description. Tea towels are always useful to have around. Again, you could keep this simple, but you could also personalize it with embroidered dates, names, or decorative embroidery. Next, we have zipper pouches. This might be my personal favorite. They're really easy to make, and they are super useful. I've made a bunch with fabric that I did indigo shibori on, and I use them to store my pens, pencils, and watercolor paints. I think it would be really fun to make a zipper pouch and then include little gifts inside. Next is a case for a laptop or iPad. I made this case for my iPad, and I love it. I read a lot of ebooks on my iPad, so it's great to have something protective to put it in when I take it along with me. You could also make something similar for a laptop. Just make sure that you get the dimensions of whatever device the person you're making it for has, so that you can make sure the case fits well. Next up is the tote bag. I know that tote bags are kind of overdone, but there is a reason for that. It's because they're quite useful to have around. And there are ways of making them that are a little bit more elevated, a little bit more interesting than your typical tote bag. Just like this one that I found by Core Fabric Store. I think it looks a lot nicer than your typical tote bag. Scrunchies are fun, super quick to make, and they don't require a lot of fabric. I've done a tutorial on how to make these, so I'll link to it in the description. Hats are another practical gift for the wintertime. You can have a lot of fun with fabric choice. Just make sure that you're using a knit fabric and something that's going to provide a bit of warmth. I also wanted to include a couple of knitting ideas because I think knitted hats and mittens are really great gifts, and they're things that don't require too much time to knit up. I typically finish a hat in about 2 days, and the same thing for a pair of mittens. I've included my favorite hat and mitten knitting patterns. Felt decorations are such a cute gift idea, and I love this free pattern by Wallflower Kitchen. You just need 2 colors of felt and some matching embroidery thread. If you want to gift something that's more like a piece of art, you could make a quilted wall hanging. I've made a couple of these using shibori fabric, and I'll put a link in the description to a video that I made all about that process. Crossbody bags are one of my favorite things to sew. I've made a few different ones and I use them all the time. So I think this is a gift that would definitely be appreciated, but it is on the more time-consuming side, so be aware of that. If you've got somebody in your life who loves to read, a great gift idea for them is fabric bookmarks. I've made some that are just simple rectangles of fabric with decorative stitching on top. You could also make these bookmarks that sit on the corner of the page. The link to the tutorial is in the description. Those are my favorite 20 gift ideas. I hope this has given you some inspiration. If it has, leave a comment and let me know which project you're going to make first. Thanks so much for watching this video all the way to the end, and if you want to see more sewing inspiration like this, be sure to subscribe and like this video. It really means a lot to me. Thanks so much, and see you next time.